What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. Now in today's video we're taking a look at a special set of weapons. When Beyond Light launches we have a new dynamic weather system, and with that we may have to consider what weapons we use a little bit more carefully. So in this video today we're going to take a look at another 5 that you most definitely want to make sure that you have to make sure you are ready to face the elements on Europa. Now if you enjoyed the video be sure to leave a rating down below, that super helps me out here on the channel. And if you're new here and want to keep up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 content, be sure to hit subscribe as well. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. With the launch of Beyond Light just over a month away, we've been covering some key sets of weapons that you should most definitely make sure that you have ahead of the DLC. We've covered shotguns, sniper rifles, auto rifles, as well as many others. But in this video today, we're taking a look at some weapons with a slightly different approach. Now, if you guys weren't aware, when we land on Europa, we'll also have a new dynamic weather system to contend with. This will allow snowstorms to whip up out of the blue, and also visibility to be greatly hampered out on the battlefield. So it's with that in mind, we're taking a look at a special set of weapons that will be able to handle the elements on Europa and make sure that you can see your targets regardless of where you are. So if you want to make sure that you have the right weapons with the right scopes, then be sure to stick around and enjoy this video. Now the 5 that we're going to go through today are just a handful of some of the weapons that all fall within the same category. So if you want the full list, as well as a few exotic options, then be sure to check out the video description. I've left a link to the Google Doc down in the description below. Now the first weapon we're going to take a look at is the Reckless Oracle. This was number 1 on our list in the recent auto rifle video. This one is a legendary energy auto rifle, which is a rapid fire frame and therefore 720 RPM. Now if you don't have a Reckless Oracle, you can get this through the Garden of Salvation raid. Now as this is an energy weapon, many energy weapons drop during this raid, so it's a perfect opportunity to try and get your hands on one. Now the reason this makes the list is the Garden of Salvation raid weapons, some of them at least, have the innate ability to highlight targets, and the Reckless Oracle is no different. So regardless of the conditions or the lighting that you have available, the Reckless Oracle is able to highlight your targets, which is going to be super important when you're in Europa and your visibility can be impaired. Now due to this being a raid weapon, this has a power cap of 1360, so this will sunset in Season 15, so it will last you throughout the entire Year 4 and put you in perfect position to be able to see and defeat your targets when you tread the snow on Europa. Now the next one to make the list is also a Garden of Salvation weapon, and this is the Sacred Provenance. This is a legendary kinetic pulse rifle. This one is an aggressive frame, so it's a hard-hitting 4-burst pulse rifle. Now as with the Reckless Oracle, you can only get this through the Garden of Salvation, so you're going to need to jump in order to get your hands on one. This one though is a kinetic weapon, so to obtain this might be a little bit more difficult than the Reckless Oracle, but it's still well worth going after one, as it can have some pretty incredible rolls, especially for PvE and PvP. You can roll things like ricochet rounds or high caliber rounds, and you can pair that with either rapid hit or outlaw in the middle column and kill clip in the final column. So you have a great set of perks available to you. So this can be a hard hitting weapon that can also highlight all your targets on Europa. So if you don't have one with a good roll, make sure to try and farm one out at least, so you've got one in your inventory ready to go on November 10th. And much like the Reckless Oracle, it's also a raid weapon, so it has a power cap of 1360, so it will last you the entirety of Year 4 all the way up until Season 15. Now next on our list is a reprised weapon, and this is the Death Adder. This is a legendary energy submachine gun. This one though is a lightweight frame, so it gives you superb handling, and you also move faster when you have the weapon equipped. Now if you don't have one of these, you can get this through the Prophecy dungeon. Remember, the dungeon does go away initially at the beginning of Season 12, so if you don't have one of these just yet, you have just over a month in order to get your hands on one. Now the Death Adder is most definitely not Recluse 2.0, even though the frame of the weapon is almost identical. It can have some pretty great rolls though. I've got Feeding Frenzy and Dragonfly on mine, which is fantastic for PvE. Another option for PvE though would be Disruption Break, where breaking the enemy shield with the weapon will make them more vulnerable to kinetic damage for a very brief period, and that's very powerful if you pair that with something like Izanagi's Burden, so you can take advantage of the extra damage. Now as with all the weapons we've covered so far, there are only barrel options available on the Death Adder as well, and as a result this weapon has the innate ability to be able to highlight your targets, so regardless of the range, you'll have excellent visibility of any targets that may be lurking in the fog when you land on Europa. And finally, as this was reprised just this season, this also has a power cap of 1360, so once again will last you the entirety of Year 4 all the way up until Season 15, so if you don't have one, I highly recommend you try and obtain one. Now next up on our list is another SMG, and this is the 7th Seraph VY7. This is a legendary energy submachine gun as well. This one though is a precision frame, so this weapon's recoil pattern is predictably vertical and it has a unique set of perks available to it. Most notably though, this is a Seraph weapon, so it will still spawn more mind cells as long as you're wearing the mods, even in Season 12. Now if you don't have one of these, you can still obtain these through the Unported engrams over at the Prismatic Recaster in the tower. These were initially issued though in Season of the Worthy, so these have a power cap of 1310, so will last you up until Season 14 if you need to. Now as I said, it has some unique perks available to it as well. I have 4 times the charm as well as the option between Dragonfly and Vorpal weapon, which makes it a very versatile weapon. Another great option though for PvE is Ambitious Assassin. You'll find this in the middle column. This overflows the magazine based on the number of rapid kills before reloading. Now as with all the previous weapons, this one has the innate ability again to highlight your targets. This is absolutely key when your visibility is hindered. As you can see, we're in the catacombs here on the moon, and even in these dark conditions we're still able to highlight and take out our targets very efficiently indeed. So if you haven't got a good roll on the 7th Seraph SMG, be sure to use your Unported engrams to try and get your hands on one. And the final weapon on the list, and a heavy weapon on this occasion, is the 7th Seraph Saw legendary powerful machine gun. This is one of the only machine guns that will be viable in end game content when we land in Season 12. The rest of the legendary machine guns are unfortunately being sunset. This one though is a high impact frame, so this one, although is slow firing, deals high damage, and the weapon is more accurate when you are stationary and you're aiming down sights. Now much like the SMG, this was introduced with Season of the Worthy, so as a result has a power cap of 1310, so it will last you all the way up until Season 14. Now unlike all the previous weapons, this one is sadly unavailable, so if you haven't got one already that is collecting dust inside your vault, then unfortunately you may not be able to get your hands on this one. However, there are still some pretty incredible rolls, so be sure to check your vaults for these ones to see if you've got one hanging around. Now this machine gun had the unique option of rolling clown cartridge. This was in the middle column, and this is where reloading the weapon randomly overfills it from reserves. And if you compare this with tactical mag or extended mag as well as a backup mag mod, you can find yourself with a pretty incredible magazine at times. And in the final column we had a few unique options, especially for a machine gun. We had Vorpal weapon, which increases damage against bosses, vehicles and guardians with their super active, but also firing line, where the weapon deals increased precision damage when you're near 2 or more allies. So if you've got a fire team running these together, this can make them very powerful indeed. And finally, as this weapon is part of the Seraph gear set, it has the ability to be able to spawn war mine cells if you have the right mods equipped, but more importantly it has the unique ability to be able to highlight targets as well. So as you can see, even in the catacombs under these dark conditions, it makes highlighting targets a breeze, allowing us to take out the enemy fast and efficiently. So there we have it. Those are just 5 weapons that are going to be absolutely critical when it comes to landing on Europa. They'll allow you to see all your targets in any conditions, and as they are all legendary, most of them will last you the entirety of Year 4. There are a few exotics as well, things like Jade Rabbit, Graviton Lance, Wishender and Outbreak Perfected that also have the possible options of highlighting targets. If you want to see the details of those, as well as a few other legendary weapons that have the ability to drop thermal scopes, which can help you in those tough conditions, then be sure to check the spreadsheet down in the video description below. Now if you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a rating down below. That super helps me out here on the channel. And if you are new here, I want to keep up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 content, be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to jump back into the game as always guys, but I will catch you all again very soon.